Okay, welcome back to another Friday night disaster report on a Saturday morning, 1st December 2019. Sometime the first, I don't know what date it is. Might be around, it's getting around the middle of December actually. Anyways, first one in a while. Keep thinking I'm going to do one, then busy. Shop's was really busy. It slowed up a little bit here. We're getting caught up in the automotive department. Got a few machining jobs done, shooting a bunch of video on them, and hopefully we'll get some editing software that either works with this computer or get another computer that the editing software will work with. Start putting together a few of those. But anyways, as far as disasters go, we got a few good ones. So, don't know if I mentioned it. Might have, yeah, you would have seen a few on Facebook. But anyways, went down to Innisfail, Alberta to get a welder. It's a Miller 330B, same as what Adam Booth has there, and Brian Block has the same one. And I guess I'm in the Miller club now with that one, even though I've got a bunch of other Millers. But anyways, this one's got spool gun, a TIG gun, and a arc stinger, and anyways, I'll give you a little show of it there. Anyway, so I'm all set up for doing aluminum now. And anyway, so I had to go down to Innisfail to get it, which is about a 4.5 hour drive one way. So anyways, a couple of weeks ago, Saturday morning, left good time in the morning with diesel Dodge, and went down, no problems at all, and picked it up and visited with the fellow I bought it from and his wife for a little bit, and then been talking to my brother down in Calgary, and he going to Antarctic for the winter season to babysit a twin otter for Bork Air. So anyways, he said, well, if you're going to be down to Innisfail, he said, it's only another hour, come down to Calgary for the weekend. So I said, okay. So after I got done getting the welder, went down to Calgary, visited with him and his wife for the evening, and then left Saturday around noontime, or Sunday I should say. Come back, no problem at all. Got about an hour from home, and wheel bearing went out on diesel Dodge. Right, left front wheel bearing. So there I was inside of the road, tire all crooked. So I called my buddy Gordy and with his tow truck, so he come pick me up, and got her all loaded up, no problem at all, really, and headed on down the road. Figured to be home, you know, not too bad a time. And Gordy decided to take a shortcut. And if you know Gordy, his shortcuts usually lead to disaster. So sure enough, we ended up going down this road that he didn't realize that because of some farming around the area, it had flooded the road a few years back. And the county decided not to fix it because nobody really used it, so they just put up some signs and left 2 feet of water on the road. So he drove down this road onto the ice to the middle of where it was flooded and fell through about 2.5 feet of water. So then we had ourselves a disaster. I didn't mind the wheel bearing going, you know, the old truck, bound to happen. But falling through the ice, yeah, neither one of us was too impressed with that maneuver. So anyways, one of the fellows that lived there, he picked us up, and I called a buddy of mine. He came out and picked us up from that fella, and so the next day we went back out, and Gordy knew a farmer in the area, so he came over with his big versatile tractor. After a bit of fooling around, we got the tow truck pulled out. We'd unloaded the Dodge because we could just put the deck truck down on the ice, and so I backed the Dodge off, and so anyways, we got her towed out finally. It took a couple hours, and loaded the truck back up, and got here about 7:30 Monday night, about 24 hours after I would have been here if the wheel bearing hadn't gone. So anyways, that was disaster number 1 and 2. So I said, well, no big deal. Got a wheel bearing ordered up, threw a wheel bearing in, diesel Dodge back on the road. So about 3 days later, the old Cavalier, the Red Rocket there, she decided to blow a head gasket, no more compression, and blowing antifreeze out, You turn her over, you see it puffing in the reservoir for the antifreeze. So I had another vehicle down, but I had Dodge going again. So of course it's been minus 20 something here, 25. So I put a silicone pad heater, stick-on one. They work really good, made by Temro, and put that on the oil pan to help the block heater. And so then I've been running diesel Dodge since then, because now I got to rebuild the engine in the Cavalier. So anyways, we've been having our fair share of disasters, and to go along with all the nice cold weather we've been having. So anyways, I'll take you for a little walkabout here after got over the disasters, and I'll show you some of the projects we're working on. We're filming most of it, you know, chunks of it, and we're going to try to edit it into 2 or 3 videos, hopefully, and get back into the video making business. So let's go for a little walkabout and see where things are at. So the old engine, well, I'd say 2 horsepower engine that we had to do a bore and sleeve job for the museum. We got her bored and sleeved, no problem at all. Then we found out that the head here has a shoulder on it, which I guess we probably should have looked at before, but didn't think of it. So that shoulder has to go into the cylinder, about 1/8 of an inch. So now we've got to put it on the mill and take the boring head and just cut a shoulder back into there. It's not a huge job, just a bit of a hassle, and I'm not going to put it back on the lathe to do that. So anyways, there's going to be a whole video on that, doing that job. And we'll get into the light here and get some good backlighting going so that you can't see anything. Anyways, one of the other projects that was bred from a project was getting the taper attachment set up on the Wilson. So we had to make a gib for the main slide underneath here, and we had to braze up over here. I don't know if I got any video doing this. Anyways, for the lock to hold the taper attachment in relation to the lathe, and had to clean everything up. Of course, it was dirty and rusty and whatever else. So anyways, got the gib in this piece, got this all cleaned up and freed up and everything. So anyways, it's working good. So we use that to make a new one of these, which we were doing some videoing on. And this tip is broke off. It's a auger tip for a stump auger, stump grinder, some sort, and runs off a bobcat, and it basically digs the stump out of the ground, chews it up. Anyway, so we made a modified one of those. Another project we've been working on. And then over here, we've got a lot of good backlighting going on here. We've got the spindle off of Alice Chalmers tractor. I'm not sure what size it is. Anyways, if you look here, get the light out of it, maybe. You can see the end of hers broke off down in here. And so anyways, we cut the weld on the bottom here, and we're going to machine it down a little bit. It doesn't want to press out. So we're going to drill a hole through it, see if we can get some pressure off it. And then we've got to make a new kingpin, which is right there. This is the broke off end. This is actually upside down. Then the tie rod, or steering arm goes on here, and tie rod. So we got to make a whole new one of these. And that's probably today's job, I'm thinking. And now we'll go look at the finished bit for that auger. And that's over here, where we've been doing our fixing. So anyways, there it is there. You see the tooth profile is a little bit different, and she's still hot. I just drew the temper down to a straw color. Should give her a good toughness, and 4140 steel. And so we had to, it was hard, so we had to anneal it so that we could machine it. It would machine with carbide, but it was machining quite hard. And We couldn't drill this one at all because we don't have carbide drill bits or anything like that. So once it was annealed, of course, then that hole drilled no problem. And we finished machining this. We could machine it with high-speed steel after we annealed it. Anyways, then we rehardened it and got the container 10W30 down there doing her John Mills style. Oil's oil, right? Make a bit of smoke, but that never killed anybody. Well, maybe it hasn't killed me yet anyway. So that's that project done, and here's our welder that brought on all these adventures. So looks familiar, if, like I say, if you've been on Brian Block's or Adam Booth's channels. And it's all set up on a cart here on pneumatic wheels, so you can drag it all over the place. It's got a cooler built into it. Of course, got spool gun with about 30 feet of lead on the spool gun, which is great. And it's got a great long probably good 20 feet or more of TIG lead on it. Number 18 Lindy TIG torch. And come with a milk crate half full of 4043 and 5356 wire. And if you look there, that's 3/64 wire. And it's been a while since they've had wire in fractional sizes, right? And then we'll move our oil jugs that are empty anyways. We got a whole bunch of aluminum TIG wire here. Of course, I have to clean it up as we use it, but that's not a big deal. So we got this toolbox, and it's got a whole bunch of tungstens in it, a bunch of welding lenses, and what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 containers of TIG nozzles, all different sizes. Whole bunch of the same sizes. We got a bunch of collets and stuff back here. We got 2 brand new bags of tips for the spool gun in 40 or 35 thou. Yeah, 35 thou and 47 thou wire. So that right there is probably, this box of stuff right here is probably worth about what I paid for the welder, to tell you the truth. And anyways, so this is what I've gone to get down Alberta, and